It's a lovely day today, so whatever you've got to do, you got a lovely day to do it in, that's true. And I hope whatever you've got to do is something that can be done by two, for I'd really like to stay.
Welcome to Ask Aunt Ann. It's a lovely day here, and I hope it's a lovely day where you are. Since it's spring, we thought it was time to clean out the mailbag. So this show has a little bit of everything. First, we'll be talking about coconut. It's become very popular lately, and we'll try to clear up some of the confusion about the many and varied coconut products and their uses. Then we have some more kitchen questions, one about melting chocolate and the other about making taco seasoning. Next, we'll talk about some new ways to share seeds. I'll give you some important information on skin cancer. We'll do a product comparison. And finally, I have a few crafts you can try using maps from your favorite places. And of course, we'll have a song for you. I hope you can stay with us. Here's our first letter. Dear Aunt Ann, I've wanted to try a few recipes that call for different kinds of coconut products, but it's so confusing. Can you help me out with some definitions? Margaret Waga in Iola. You're right, Margaret. It's all over. From coconut water to coconut sugar to coconut vinegar, and of course the one we're probably most familiar with, shredded coconut. Coconuts are really fascinating. They come from the coconut palm, and most of the world's coconuts are produced on small tropical plantations. What we call the nut is actually a drupe. A drupe is a fruit with a hard stony covering enclosing the seed, like a peach or olive. Coconuts and all drupes have three layers: the outer layer, the fleshy middle layer, and the hard woody layer that surrounds the seed. What you see in the grocery store is that hard woody layer, the inside of the coconut. Botanically, the coconut palm is not even a tree since there is no bark, no branches, or secondary growth. So a coconut palm is actually a woody perennial with the trunk being the stem. And every bit of the coconut is used. Because they are so useful, coconuts are called the tree of life and can produce drink, fiber, food, fuel, utensils, musical instruments, and more. Isn't that amazing? Here are some types of coconut you may see in the grocery store. Shredded. This is the sweet, flaky stuff used for baking. It's also called flaked coconut. Unsweetened flaked is the same as shredded, but its flakes are thinner and it doesn't have any sugar added. Coconut milk comes from the coconut meat that has been soaked in water until the desired thickness has been achieved. Coconut cream is made in the same way, but using less water. Don't confuse it with cream of coconut, which is the coconut cream with added sugar. Coconut water is the liquid that is inside a whole fresh coconut and contains electrolytes. Coconut oil is dried meat that's been pressed and drained. It is solid at room temperature but melts easily. There are even more products, but these are the more familiar ones. I hope that helps next time you see one of these in a recipe. Our next question is from Dale McCoy in Hillsboro. He writes, Dear Aunt Ann, I'm fairly new to baking and I just can't seem to be able to melt chocolate correctly. It always turns out dry and flaky. Help. Well, Dale, I'm pretty sure you're heating it for too long. When you do that, it turns grainy and is very crumbly. The traditional method is to heat the chocolate over boiling water in a double boiler. A double boiler is basically two pans that stack together. The bottom pan holds the water, and the top holds the chopped chocolate. This works well, but I find the microwave is much quicker and I think even easier. The trick is to check it often. I like to use a large glass measuring cup so I can remove it easily by the handle. If you are using bar chocolate, break it or chop it into small pieces. If the recipe calls for chips, just pour them directly in. As a side note, don't use chips if it calls for bar chocolate. They are not necessarily interchangeable. Now, put the chocolate in the microwave for 60 seconds, take it out and stir. It should have begun to melt. It depends on how much chocolate you have and how powerful your microwave is. If the chocolate isn't completely melted after you have stirred it, put it back in for 30 seconds, remove, and stir. At this point, it should be ready, but if it still has chunks after you've stirred it well, try 30 more seconds, and that's it. Super smooth and super easy. Good luck, Dale. Here's a simple recipe I'd like to share with you. It's for taco seasoning. Have you ever looked at the ingredient list on one of those packages you find in the store? I don't know about you, but if I can't pronounce it, I don't want to eat it. Here's what you'll need to make your own chemical-free version. 1/4 cup plus 1 tablespoon chili powder, 1 1/4 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1 1/4 teaspoons of onion powder, 1 1/4 teaspoons crushed red pepper flakes, 1 1/4 teaspoon dried oregano, 2 1/2 teaspoons of paprika, 2 tablespoons plus 1 1/2 teaspoons ground cumin, 1 tablespoon plus 2 teaspoons of salt. I like to use sea salt. 1 tablespoon plus 2 teaspoons of black pepper. Mix everything together and store in an airtight container or jar. This recipe will replace 4 of the packets. And remember, you can always adjust the ingredients to suit your taste. Our next letter is from Marion in Mosinee. She writes, "Dear Aunt Anne, I have a very small garden and I like to plant from seeds. My problem is that I don't use the entire package of seeds. Do you have suggestions for what I can do with the rest? Can I save them until next year?" What a great question, Marion. To find your answer, we went to the experts at the University of Wisconsin Extension. They said saving seeds is very possible, and they had a few suggestions for you. First, it's important to plant only one variety of each plant to avoid cross-pollination. Cross-pollination might lead to a new variety that might be interesting but not very tasty. Avoid saving corn and carrots. They can be difficult for beginners. Also avoid hybrid plants because the results from their seeds are unpredictable. For more information, you can download the Seed Saving Guide for Gardeners and Farmers from the Organic Seed Alliance. Another nifty way to save seeds is through a seed library. Seed libraries use varied methods for sharing seeds. Some use seed swaps, otherwise known as seed exchanges, in which library members or the public meet and exchange seeds. Others will lend seeds. In this version, people check out seeds from the library's collection, grow them, save the seeds, and return the seeds from the propagated plants to the library. These programs are sprouting up all over, and a lot of them are in actual libraries. Go to your library and see if they have such a program, and if not, maybe you can start one. Have you noticed that there are lots of generic beauty products lining the shelves these days? Some of them can really save you some money, but if the products don't work as well, then you've actually lost money. With that in mind, your friends at Ask Aunt Anne will be doing some product checking for you. If you have some items you would like us to compare for you, drop us a line or post on our Facebook page and we will look into it for you. Our first comparison is for an exfoliating product. I'm sure you've seen these in the drugstore. There is some controversy out there about whether these scrubs are good for you or not. We're not scientists, so we will leave that for others to decide. What we do want to do is compare the products and let you know what we found. The first is the standard. It's been around a long time and a lot of people use it, so of course there are cheaper versions out there. To begin with, the original is not that expensive. Usually you can find this tube for about $3.50. Here's what you'll get. This tube looks like it on the outside, except that it is a store brand from Dollar General. Here's what it looks like. Now the last tube is from my supermarket and it was only $1. Here's what it looks like. As you can see, there is very little difference between the original product and the store brand, and in using these you will not see a difference. But there is a big difference in the $1 tube. There is much less apricot in this, and it doesn't work at all. So our suggestion is to get the store brand if it's available. Over time, your savings will add up. Some people don't like the roughness of the apricot pits and prefer the products whose ingredients dissolve. There are a lot on the market, but you may want to make your own. Here's an easy recipe using sugar and, of course, coconut. It smells wonderful. The sugar gently exfoliates the skin, and the coconut oil serves as a great natural moisturizer. Here's what you'll need. A 1/4 cup coconut oil, 1 cup extra fine granulated sugar, zest and juice from 1 lime, and 5 drops of coconut fragrance or a tiny drip of coconut flavoring. Melt the coconut oil in your microwave. Add sugar, lime juice, lime zest, and stir until well blended. Add coconut fragrance or flavoring and mix well. Scoop into jars and tie with bows, raffia, or ribbon. I added a lovely embroidered handkerchief, starched and folded into a small square. What a great gift idea! We found this recipe and many more at imperialsugar.com. Let us know if you try any of their other recipes. Summer is coming, and we need to be even more aware of what the sun can do to our skin. Make sure you always wear sunscreen, even in the winter. Sometimes it's difficult to decide which type to buy. Here's what the Skin Cancer Foundation says. Look for the letters SPF. That means sun protection factor. It is a measure of a sunscreen's ability to prevent ultraviolet or UV rays from damaging the skin. Here's how it works. If it takes 20 minutes for your unprotected skin to start turning red, use an SPF 15 sunscreen. Theoretically, this prevents reddening 15 times longer, about 5 hours. Most sunscreens with an SPF of 15 or higher do an excellent job. The important thing to remember is to reapply. The Skin Cancer Foundation recommends a complete sun protection regimen that includes not only sunscreen use, but also seeking shade, covering up with clothing, including a wide-brimmed hat, and UV blocking sunglasses. Sun protection is essential to skin cancer prevention. About 90% of non-melanoma skin cancers and 65% of melanomas are associated with exposure to UV radiation from the sun. A recent study of more than 1,600 adults over the course of a decade determined that subjects applying sunscreen daily with an SPF of 15 reduced their risk of melanoma by 50%. Skin cancer is the most common of all cancers, afflicting more than 3 million Americans each year, a number that is rising rapidly. It is also the easiest to cure if diagnosed and treated early. The most important warning sign for melanoma is a new spot on the skin or a spot that changes in size, shape, or color. Another important sign is a spot that looks different from all of your other spots on the skin. If you have any of these warning signs, have your skin checked by a doctor. The ABCDE rule is another guide to detecting the usual signs of melanoma. Be on the lookout and tell your doctor about spots that have any of the following features. A is for asymmetry. One half of a mole or birthmark does not match the other. B is for border. The edges are irregular, ragged, notched, or blurred. C is for color. The color is not the same all over and may include shades of brown or black, or sometimes with patches of pink, red, white, or blue. D is for diameter. The spot is larger than 6 millimeters across. That's about a 1/4 inch or the size of a pencil eraser. Although melanomas can sometimes be smaller than this. E is for evolving. The mole is changing in size, shape, or color. Some melanomas do not fit into these guidelines, so it's important to tell your doctor about any changes or new spots on the skin or growths that look different from the rest of your moles. Other warning signs can include a sore that does not heal, spread of pigment from the border of a spot into the surrounding skin, redness or a new swelling beyond the border, change in sensation, itchiness, tenderness, or pain, and change in the surface of a mole, such as scaliness, oozing, bleeding, or the appearance of a bump or nodule. Please be aware and check with your healthcare provider. Our last letter is from Loretta Turner in Arbor Vitae. She writes, "Dear Aunt Anne, our family likes to take a vacation together every summer. We have a wonderful time, and I like to make everyone a gift for Christmas that reminds them of each vacation. We have been doing this for a while, and I've run out of ideas. Can you help?" What a nice memento, Loretta. Here's one of my favorite crafts. I use maps from the locations I've visited. You can also use brochures from the attractions you've visited. Here are 2 that I've made. For the picture frame, all I did was cut out a piece of a map to fit the inside of the frame, cut an X in the opening area, and then fold the ends inside and use Mod Podge to glue it on and another coat on top. I did add a piece of cord to give it another dimension. My other project is coasters. You will need 4 tumbled travertine tiles. You should be able to find them at a home store. Our Mod Podge, a map, scissors, clear acrylic spray, and a brush. First, cut out a pattern for your map pieces. You want your map to be slightly smaller than your tile so that there is a bit of the tile peeking on each side. I made mine 3½ inches square. I wanted to have a slightly soft edge on my maps, so I lightly traced my pattern with pencil around the area I wanted. Next, fold the map on your lines first one way and then the other. Press the fold and gently tear the unwanted part away. Using your brush, apply a moderate amount of glossy Mod Podge on the tile. You want to brush enough Mod Podge so that the map sticks to the tile, but not too much that it turns to mush. Place the map squares at the center of the tile. Remove the bubbles by pressing from the center of the tile going out to the sides. Let it dry for about 30 minutes to 1 hour. Apply 3 to 4 layers of Mod Podge over the map. Allow each layer to dry fully before applying the next layer. Allow it to dry completely by letting sit overnight. Then spray a layer of acrylic for extra protection on top. Glue a piece of felt under your map coasters. This will prevent your coasters from scratching your furniture. I think these will make great gifts, Loretta. Post a photo of your project on our Facebook page. Wow, that's a lot of information for one show. Let's take a break now and enjoy some music. My friends from Penguin Productions are putting on a musical this summer, and they were nice enough to let us tape one of their numbers. They are doing the musical review, The Bittersweet, Songs of Experience. I hope you enjoy it.
You're not getting older, you're just getting bitter. You may be a little tired, alright, so you need a litter. The world's just a waiting line, you bide your time till you reach the end. You've got the answers to the questions, but who asked you, my friend? However you play it, kid, you're stuck in the middle. Whatever you try to do, my friend, it doesn't need diddle. So break out the matches, mate. You've got a date with your violin. While the town burns down, won't you play that song again? They say that to know you, my dear, is to leave you. But don't let the stampede at the door upset or weary you. The lovers may come and go, don't let them know that you really care. 'Cause if you do something drastic of your elastic, the crowd would only stare. They tell you that absence makes the heart grow fonder, which means that they like you so much more whenever you're yonder. Farewell, adios, my dear, it's been quite a year, but I've got to run. I don't care who's to blame, just tell me, did I have some fun? Farewell, adios, my dear, it's got to run. Farewell, my dear, it's got to run. Farewell, my dear, it's